Hey guys, welcome back to an all-new episode of The Closing Table. We are proudly sponsored by New Leaf Home Inspections, North Carolina's most trusted home inspectors. So pull up a chair, it's closing table time. Doug, how are you today?
Hey, buddy. Happy New Year's 2026. Excited to be back in the chair at the closing table. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling.
Let's do it. Something new. Why Greenland is suddenly a global headline. There's been a lot of talk ever since the Venezuelan capture of Maduro, us going over there and executing a pristine military operation there. And now Greenland is back in the topic of conversations. What are your thoughts on this, Doug?
Well, I think strategically for America and putting America first, it makes sense to me. I mean, it gives us a better level of protection. And I think if you're America first, then you want America to be protected, right? The interesting part to me in the dynamic is their relationship with Denmark doesn't seem to be as tight and concrete as people assume at the outset. My understanding is the people of Greenland have the option to decide what they want to do. And ultimately, it may come down to a vote if they want to stay tied to Denmark, or if they want to become an independent nation, or if they want to have some sort of relationship with the United States. So I think it's interesting to watch. I think we're kind of in a little game of global risk right now, which is one of my favorite board games to play, not to take it too lightly, but I don't see any military intervention or anything like that happening. I don't see the need for it. I think we're probably going to submit a proposal and see if the people of Greenland are interested in moving forward with that. And then they'll work it out, or they won't work it out, and we'll see what happens. But I think it's definitely an interesting topic, and I'm following it. I'm interested to see how it plays out. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with what you're saying. There's some interesting points here. Greenland sits at the center of the Arctic shipping lanes for military strategy, so that definitely helps us around the world. The U.S., China, and Russia all see long-term strategic value with that particular piece of land. And, if we can get in there and make the folks of Greenland an amazing deal that makes them happy, I'm all for it. If it benefits our country, the citizens here, and also is something that the people of Greenland support as well, then I have no issue with it. So let's move on, Doug. Awesome. Let's move on to your approved. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac stockpiling mortgages, smart strategy or subtle signal? Your thoughts, Doug?
Well, I want to hear your thoughts on this one first, because you're the mortgage expert, and this was something that you mentioned would be a good thing for us to talk about. So I know you've got an opinion. Tell us what it is.
I personally would like to see Fannie and Freddie. I know they're stockpiling the mortgages. I'd like to see some movement, pardon me, with all those items on the secondary market. They're sitting on over $230 billion in mortgages, and that's a lot of money. It really depends if they ever take it, it's private right now. If they ever take it public, Fannie and Freddie, stuff like that, that's been talked about. There's a lot of discerning factors there. They're holding more than 30% of the mortgages out there right now. That have been written and such. So, I think once we've got good leadership in right now, I believe. I think that for 2026, they're going to come up with some amazing products, perhaps, to help with home affordability. We've talked about a 40-year fixed rate mortgage in the past, things of that nature. Pardon me. But we do have I think there's some advantages, disadvantages, but I'm okay with it right now. I would just like to see some more activity on the secondary market. And I think that's going to occur as interest rates fall.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I think competition is usually a good thing, right? Especially when it comes to getting better rates for people. So maybe the more people involved, the better chance is that consumers have the opportunity to get a good rate, or maybe a better or different product that's not being offered right now. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. I certainly hope some of those other things, maybe specifically assumable loans, expand like we've talked about before. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm all for anything that helps the consumer.
Yeah, I think with assumability, that's going to be a difficult place to reach, just because of what happens here. You got the servicer. What happens to existing mortgage companies? How do they correlate the two together? I don't know how that will work necessarily with assumability, but I am very excited to see product updates, guideline updates, and things like that for 2026. I think there's going to be some cool, innovative stuff that they roll out. So excited about it. Excited about that. All right, moving on the hunt. What people are really hunting for right now? Is it stability, Doug? You tell me.
I think people would probably appreciate a little bit of stability, like we just talked about. There's a lot happening in the news right now. It's coming from a lot of different directions. We're kind of at the point in the year now where everybody's back at it, right? Everyone had a nice break, hopefully. Now it's time to refocus. You made your goals for 2026. How am I going to get there? What am I going to do to be productive and get where I want to be with whatever that is and whatever work or life that you do, whether it's your fitness or savings or job or something else. So I think people want to be focused and less distracted probably coming into the new year because they spent kind of the last month being distracted and, understandably so and why. But now I think people are looking to kind of put on the blinders, put their head down and kind of get after stuff. What about you?
I agree. I think during the COVID years, you saw a lot of people that were chasing kind of the excitement, if you will. For an example, the sports card collectible stuff that I do, and I got my son into, my dad. We all kind of do it with memorabilia and ball cards. It seemed like those markets and like things, even in housing, people were sitting at home online, just like, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy a house, or hey, I'm going to go buy something. I'm going to make a purchase. I think right now people are like, okay, let's hold on to our money. Let's see how this economy shakes out and what we get to look forward to, in 2026. So I think to the point of the stability, it's definitely something that I know I'm reaching for. And I know a lot of the folks that I'm so blessed to be able to work with as far as their mortgage financing needs are concerned. They definitely are looking for the same, whether that be affordable monthly payments, things of that nature, and obviously an affordable house. A house at a good price, which I know you can help them out with. So I agree with you. I think stability over instant gratification right now is what I've been noticing out of a lot of folks. So, moving on, Doug, let's move on to lock it in. Let's lock this thing in. The Panthers, let's go. I keep pounding Panthers. Sometimes they keep getting pounded, but we'll take what we can get at this point. We're back in the playoffs. Fluke or foundation, Doug? Your take on this?
Man, I'm going to have to go with a little bit of both, to be honest with you. They definitely showed some improvement this year and had some high moments, but every time they had a chance to actually take control and make something happen and drive the ship, they put it in reverse and went backwards. They definitely backed into the playoffs. They couldn't beat Tampa. They had to rely on Atlanta to beat New Orleans, and they did. And so now it's a new season. So let's see what happened. They got a little bit of time to get it together and see if they can come out and make something happen in the playoffs. If nothing else, it's our first trip back to the playoffs in a while. So that's a step forward, even if they went in reverse to get there at the end of the year. So hopefully something, that they can build on.
You have to look at the big picture, in my opinion, Doug. And I think we have been in free fall for the last 4 or 5 years. Numerous coaches, numerous quarterbacks in and out. Sam Darnold, that didn't work out here. I'm happy for him. He's doing very well in Seattle. Baker Mayfield, we all know that story. He came over, didn't have a big impact there at all. Went to Tampa and has done some good things there. I think as an organization, Dan Morgan, the general manager, has done a fantastic job of building a culture within this organization of winning. I think what we've seen, to your point about the ups and downs, right? Like winning a big game, then losing one you should win the next week. And it's happened all season long. They're on and off. They win one, they lose one. They win one, they lose one. That's been their pattern. I think that's the kind of things you see out of a young team, perhaps a younger coaching unit as well. That just needs to work itself out through experience and being in big game situations. And they're putting themselves in position with the leadership that they have right now to be successful in the future. Is Bryce Young the answer moving forward? I don't know. I mean, I love Bryce Young as a person. I think he's an amazingly charismatic, smart, just a well-rounded dude. He's just a good dude. But sometimes on the football field, I wonder what in the heck he's doing. But at the end of the day, hey, he led us into the playoffs this year. What more can you ask for, right? So we had a little help from Tampa. We're in against the Rams. We already beat them at home in a very good game. We won by 3 points. I think the 10.5 spread that we're seeing right now by Vegas, is very high. I think that's a lot of points in a playoff game, especially when you're playing on the road at our stadium. So, I love the foundation that we're getting. I don't think they're fluky. I think as an organization, they're building the foundation for the future, for future runs. And I just really like it. I'm a season ticket holder and have been for quite some time. So for me, it's nice to have something to be excited about instead of just feeling like you're wasting money and throwing it out the window.
Yeah, you got to be in it to win it, and they're finally in it again. So let's see what happens.
In it to win it, baby. Let's go. Keep pounding, Panthers. Let's take down the Rams this Sunday. All right, Doug, let's move on from lock it in all the way to due diligence. Why big housing headlines rarely match local reality? Due diligence. Now, national housing headlines, they don't always reflect what's happening locally. Inventory and demand vary street by street. Buyers react emotionally to national data. Doug, what are you seeing as far as housing headlines and what it pertains to our local markets? I know you at Ocean Air Realty, you guys cover the entire Triangle area all the way down to the coast here. What are the headlines showing you that either is reality or is not?
I think that the first thing people need to realize is real estate is local more than anything else. And so you need to understand what's happening in your local market and not try to apply nationwide trends to it. There are so many different marketplaces in America. There are so many different economic and socioeconomic factors that impact and cause fluctuations in pricing and trends across the United States that you might as well ignore, nationwide headlines if you're looking at it from a local consumer point of view. If you're looking at it from an investment standpoint, as far as, where's the economy headed? Yeah, maybe that's more impactful. But if you're looking at it as a homeowner or someone who's looking to buy or sell, then you need to focus on what your headlines are locally and what the trends are locally. And in North Carolina, we're still a destination. There's a good amount of inventory in North Carolina, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Buyers having more choice is a good thing. And as we know and have talked about, rates are continuing to creep down. And, they've been holding steady the last few weeks now, but still year-long lows. So those are the big headlines you need to pay attention to, not the housing market is going to collapse. We've had those, folks saying that for 8 years now. There's no reason to believe the housing market is going to collapse at all.
I have a big problem with paying attention and actually valuing the posts that I see online, because you never know what outlet's really putting this stuff out, and you really don't know if they even know what they're talking about. I see a lot of fake stuff going on. I think it's vitally and critically important for folks to actually contact your local trusted real estate agent, your local trusted mortgage lender, folks that have the exact data, the exact sense, and the exact flow of everything that's going on in the local market. Don't pay attention to these big, massive headlines. A lot of times when I see something posted, like for example on Facebook, a lot of times it's showing up on my feed, but they're talking about something that happened 2 weeks ago. And by that time, 2 weeks ago to now, that could completely change. I just think it's critically important for folks out there to understand, to pick up the phone, call your local trusted professionals in your environment, in your market, and they can help discern exactly what's going on. Would you agree, Doug?
Yeah, 100%. Nothing is more local, I don't think, than real estate. So if you're trying to make a decision about that, talk to somebody who knows what's going on where you're trying to transact.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's move on to Fix This. All right. Headlines that create panic without context. Some headlines are designed to scare, not inform. Doug, can you give me some insight into your experience with this lately on as far as the headlines and stuff that you see? I mean, do you see a lot of things that are just trying to drive people's insecurities and fears out the window, or out the wazoo, pardon me?
Well, I think even before social media, right, what got the most headlines, what gets the most views is bad news, right? So we live now kind of in a clickbait society. People are much more likely to click on something negative than something positive, unfortunately. It's just like if you go and read folks' reviews, people are a lot more likely to leave a negative review than they are a positive review, right? We all have experience with that. We've probably been there ourselves and know what that's like. I think that a good resolution going into the new year is to spend a little less time trying to consume so much news all the time. I think it can be bad for us. They can call it doom scrolling, things like that. I think you got to take all that stuff with a grain of salt. I think it's good to try and get information and headlines from different sources, so you're not always relying on the same source. So at least you know what other people are saying. But I think you got to take things with a grain of salt, because we know, and I'm not afraid to say this because I think most people would agree with me, but even if they don't, the media is not there for the consumer. They're for the people that are paying them to be there. So you got to be mindful about that. And again, it's good to be informed, but be informed about who's informing you, I guess.
Amen to that. I can't watch the news anymore. It's not the news. It's just not. It's propaganda. It's a lot of stuff thrown in that is absolute garbage just to spin people around. It's like we're in a spin cycle in a washing machine, and it just throws us around and around and around. And if I personally lean into this stuff and really try to pay attention and dissect it, depending upon what channel I'm watching, that will dictate how I'm feeling. And I don't like that. I also don't trust the news that's being put out in a lot of cases. I don't. They don't report on things that are going on that need to be, but they report on things that are so trivial and ridiculous just to stir the pot. It's all pot stirring these days. It's not like the old Walter Cronkite days when you sat down and you listened to the evening news and you were getting a report on what happened that day. Now you're getting everybody's opinion. Everybody's opinion is so important in the world of news. I'm sorry. I just want the facts, and that's it. I don't need anybody else's opinion on it. If you're going to present to me news that's going on in the world, nationally, locally, wherever, just give me the facts of exactly what happened, not your opinion and things that you want to insinuate or add to the story. I can't stand that. So, it needs to be fixed. Let's fix it. Let's fix it, Doug. Maybe you and I can get a job with the news or something. Maybe we can report the facts of what's going on. What do you think, Doug?
Just the facts, Jack. Let's go.
Just the facts. All right, counter offer to that, Doug. Let's move on. The college football playoff Final Four. It's set. It's set. You got Oregon, Indiana, and you got Miami and Ole Miss. It's going to be a big battle. Doug, in your opinion, are the best teams left or are the best brands left?
You play the game to win the game, right? The people that won deserve to be there more than somebody thinking they need to be there. It is what it is. They play the game between the lines on the field, not on a computer spreadsheet, not in some news writer's press room or anything like that. People complain for years about there not being enough teams in. You add more teams, people still complain that there aren't enough teams in, right? At some point, you just got to stop the bitching and moaning and say, look, we had 12 teams. Now we got 4. 2 of them are from the Big Ten. 1 is from the SEC. 1 is from the ACC. We can have another conversation about which conference is the best at another time. But right now, there's 4 teams left. Let's see what happened. I would like to note that the only way the SEC team got a finalist was beating another SEC team.
I know you just love the SEC, Doug. It's unbelievable. Look, here, I'm gonna make a couple points to this. I think after what I watched last weekend, Indiana is the most complete team in college football.
Yeah.
Period. They'd be there. They're playing amazing. They're so well coached and they're so disciplined and so fundamentally sound on both sides of the ball. All facets of the game, special teams, you name it, they've got it. Oregon looks good. I think Indiana's going to take care of them again. They beat them earlier in the season. I think Indiana's going to take care of business there. Ole Miss and Miami is very intriguing. You got high-powered offense against high-powered defense, speed on speed. That's going to be a very interesting combination. I will go back because a couple episodes ago, you kind of went on a rant, Doug, about how, JMU, Tulane, you were fine with them being in the playoffs. I'll tell you this. I would have liked to have seen a couple more teams that maybe had a tougher schedule get in, because those games aren't even enjoyable to watch. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. I can't do it. James Madison, we all knew what was going to happen. Tulane, we all knew what was going to happen. They've got to. I'm all about giving the underdogs and the little guys a shot, right? The smaller programs. I am. But at the end of the day, I mean, my Louisville Cardinals, who blew the last part of the season, beat James Madison earlier in the season by a touchdown. Yet James Madison's playing in the playoffs and just gets dominated. It's just, to me, there's got to be a better way to do it. And it's got to be somewhat based on strength of schedule too. You can't just let everybody in that might be 11-1 or whatever, man. You got to look at who they've been playing. So that way it's a competitive playoff. At the end of the day, it's there for competition. It's not there to watch teams just steamroll other teams. That's pointless. That's you might as well put them in a bowl game at that point and just let them go out and play play and see how it goes, right? But this is the college football playoff, and if you want to make it as great as it can be, you need the best of the best lining up against each other, 11 on 11, in my opinion.
At Notre Dame, you want to be in the playoff, beat the ranked teams that you play. Otherwise, shut up and join a conference.
I hear you, Doug, but Notre Dame has a gripe. I mean, they wouldn't have got blown out by 30 points.
No, they don't.
I don't believe.
But they would have lost, so it doesn't matter. You lose by 1, you lose by 20. A loss is a loss. They wouldn't be playing this weekend, so it is what it is.
Didn't they lose? Didn't Notre Dame lose to LSU like the first game of the season? Is that correct? They lost to somebody they shouldn't have lost to.
They lost to Miami, though.
They did, and Miami deserves to be there. I never felt like Miami didn't. They definitely did. It's just weird. I also think perhaps do away with the conference championship games. Do away with those. Let them duke it out during the regular season. See who wins it, who takes it. I don't know. I mean, Miami definitely belongs, and they prove that. But let's move on from counteroffer. Let's go to getting local. I love getting local. That's my favorite part of the show. Why North Carolina still feels grounded. You know, we live in this state that doesn't seem like it's just completely out of sorts. Doug, in a loud world, how does North Carolina feel to you? Does it feel grounded? Does it feel like it's getting away from where it was? What are your thoughts?
Well, North Carolina changes just like everyone else, but it's still the best state in the union. It's still got everything you could want in any state, in my opinion. We got the beaches, amazing beaches, some of the best in the nation. We got the mountains, easy to get to, lots of great places. We've got the Triangle. We've got Charlotte. We've got Wilmington. I think there's something for everybody. North Carolina is still largely very rural, which I think is a really good thing for the state. It helps keeps us grounded. Real people who get up and go to work every day, who care about their friends and their neighbors and their communities. And then you've got really big metro areas where there's lots of great opportunity for healthcare and education and job opportunities. And that's why North Carolina continues to be such a great destination. Our taxes are low. It's a great place to live. We have a mild climate most of the year, and there's a lot of benefits to being in North Carolina. My only thing that I tell people when they come to North Carolina is we'd love to have you here, but just keep in mind, don't try to replicate what you're running from when you get here, brother.
Amen. Amen to that. Amen to that. Yeah, we do have excellent property tax rates, which, real quick, let me throw this in with getting local. Property tax rates, Doug. It's been a lot of conversation about doing away with property taxes altogether, which I think is a wonderful idea. My biggest pain point is they're collecting all this money in property taxes, and we waste an inordinate amount of money from all form of taxation as a whole. We throw it out the window. There's fraud. There's abuse. All kinds of stuff going on. How do you feel about disbanding property taxes as a whole, as a nation?
Well, we could have a whole show about this, and maybe we should. I think it would be entertaining to have. I am inclined to lean towards a consumption-based only tax instead of taxing people for things they already paid taxes on when they bought it. I think that's ridiculous. They're taxing people on their income. tax people on what they consume. And so that, and of course you need to have levels in there for minimum things for food and the healthcare and things like that. But, I think there's a smarter way to do it. I think there are some other countries who do it better than us. I think that allows people to choose what their tax rate is versus being told what their tax rate is, which I think is unfair in a lot of ways. But, to put a bow on it, property tax is ridiculous, and I am certainly behind the wave of people talking about abolishing it. And, the other side will say, well, how do we pay for all this stuff? Well, stop paying for a bunch of crap that we won't need, and we can afford to cut taxes. That's the
right.
problem. That's why taxes have continued to rise, is because our expenses continue to rise unfettered without people looking at, hey, how much waste is going on. Cut the waste. You can cut and you can give a benefit back to people by cutting their taxes. Doesn't seem like rocket science. It just seems like people have to sit down and get to work.
100%. Wasteful spending. They need to audit the books. They got to audit the books. They have to. I mean, as much abuse and waste and fraud is being found and has been found and we all knew it was going on. It's just getting brought to light. I'm all for getting rid of property taxes. And that's something that local folks will benefit from the coast to the mountains in North Carolina. So I'm all for that, Doug. I love it. Let's move on. Let's move on to are we at final walkthrough, Doug? We are, aren't we? Man, we've been flying through this.
Yeah,
show.
we're almost there.
Unreal. Almost to the closing table, guys. Final walkthrough. One headline, Doug, that you choose to ignore.
Just, the doom and gloom stuff. I don't believe it. Bad things are always going to happen. It's just the nature of the beast. That's life, right? But there's a lot of good out there, too. I choose to try to focus on the good, take the good with the bad, and, understand that every day the world is a big place. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of players, there are a lot of characters that are doing things that aren't great, and that's unfortunate. I think the majority of people are good. I think people strive to be good and treat other people the way they want to be treated, and I try to lead by example and do that and hope that other people will, do the same thing and follow that lead. And at the same time, we need the people that we trust with the authority given to them to take care of the people who aren't doing that, to make it safer and better for the rest of us.
Right. I have to take, like we talked about before with news and stuff. I mean, so much fake news out there, so many opinions from people that aren't paying my bills or your bills, that they want to get on TV and flash their opinions about everything. I choose not to pay attention to a lot of it, because if I do, it does nothing but provide ammunition for me to get angry, upset, and frustrated. And I don't need any of that. There's enough stress in life without having to turn on the TV or your social media outlets and see all the garbage that is forced on people each and every day. So I think it's very important for one's mental health and spiritual well-being just to put that stuff to the side and say, hey, it's time to move on. So I agree with you 100% there. Well, Doug, we've reached the pinnacle. It is now closing time. The documents are ready to be signed. The pen's full of ink. We're all around the closing table. Before we head out, Doug, what is one thing you're optimistic about moving into the new year here?
Well, I'm really optimistic about 2026. I think there are a lot of good things ahead of us. I think good things are happening for our country. I think good things are happening for our economy. If you look at the facts and you don't just assume what people are telling you, I can tell you what my gas pump goes. It looks like when I go up and fill gas, a couple of times every week, because I'm on the road a lot. I think that's a big thing. I am optimistic about the conversations I'm having with people who are interested in real estate. Obviously, that's what we do all day, every day. So when we're having conversations about that and people are interested in the information gathering so they can make an informed decision, that means the factors are moving into place that are going to help our industry and help people with their real estate goals. So I'm really excited about the year in general for a lot of those reasons and some other ones too, but not to take up too much time. How about you? What are you really excited about?
I agree 100% with what you said. I'm optimistic for 2026. I'm also very hopeful. I like policy that's been put into place. I'm very optimistic about a new Fed chair being appointed. I'm very optimistic about that. I think Jerome Powell has done an abysmal job at a time where he could have been aggressive lowering interest rates. And I'm not afraid to say that out loud. I've been through a lot of cycles. I've been licensed as a mortgage originator since 2006. So I've seen crashes, I've seen highs, lows, everything in between. And I can tell you that it's time for a change. It's time to get people in there. They're going to do the right thing for the right reason. And really for the benefit of our country and our citizens. So from a national perspective, I'm very optimistic. From a local perspective, I think that'll trickle down to North Carolina. I think people find the value in the beautiful landscape that is North Carolina, whether it be the mountains, the beaches, and in between. We've got everything right here, and just a beautiful place to live, and we're very blessed. So, I'm very optimistic about quite a few things, but the biggest thing, I have a lot of hope for the direction we're heading in. The last few years have been tough in the real estate business, and if you didn't roll up your sleeves and get some elbow grease on you, you got left behind. But we're still here standing. We've been doing this a long time, and look forward to completing our journey in the years to come. So, yeah, man, it's Doug. As always, it's great to do the show with you. I know you were feeling a little bit under the weather today, but you're a warrior, you're a trooper, and I love it. I love it. You persevered, my friend. You did well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. We love it. We love it. I want to, before we leave, before we sign off here, I want to give another big thank you to our presenting sponsor, New Leaf Home Inspections, North Carolina's most trusted home inspectors. Give those guys a call today. If you'd like to find a way to get their phone number, you can Google them, or you can simply reach out to myself or my compadre there, Doug Yop, and we'll be happy to get you in touch with New Leaf Home Inspections. Doug, we're closed. All the documents are signed. We're funded and recorded. I guess we'll see you next time at the closing table.